Hello folks, boy do I have some juicy news for you all today. We've got patches breaking things that previously worked just fine already, we've got Chinese backlash and the ensuing censorship, which caused quest lines to change and has undermined the overall theme and message of the entire story, as well as Photoshop, more censorship, and honestly, who really knows what's else at this point. So, let's get started. It would make sense to cover exactly what has occurred and then take things from there. Now, usually I do write out my own scripts for everything I do other than patch notes, but for this one, we're going to use this summary made by Reddit user Alan Jink because it's honestly a fantastic summary and I'd only take longer to get it all out in my own words anyway. And it goes as follows. So, Wuchang is a new Souls-like game that came out just a few weeks ago. The game gathered some hype around China and in the Souls-like community as the preview looked kind of promising. I have played the game and I think it is a good Souls-like, though I haven't finished it. But damn, the game caused such a huge controversy in China to a point that the developers have to censor the games post-launch as the new patch dropped. The game's story was set in the late Ming Dynasty, 1644 AD, in the land of Shu, which is current-day Sichuan. You play as a pirate woman with amnesia who got a weird feathering disease and needs to find a cure and uncover the mystery behind herself. During the campaign, historical factions like the Ming army and the rebel army led by Zhang Xianzong are involved in chasing the fictional MacGuffin. And you will encounter these historical figures as allies or bosses, nothing unusual for a historical fantasy setting. Kind of like the Neo series. However, some Chinese gamers are really unhappy about the game's setting because the game lacks one big historical figure during that time period, the Manchurians. A quick rundown for those who are familiar with late Chinese history, check out real historical sources if interested, but the Ming Dynasty, reigning from 1368 through to 1644 AD, was the last Chinese dynasty led by ethnic Han royalty, and the Ming Dynasty falls due to civil wars and invasion by the Manchurians. Manchurians eventually overthrow the Ming Dynasty and established the Qing Dynasty, which reigned from 1644 through to 1912 AD. So, why is the lack of Manchurians an issue? It is a game with flying creatures that shoot lasers and bird people. Why does historical accuracy matter here? Well, here is the distribution of Chinese ethnic groups. 91% are Han Chinese, and less than 10% of the population are minorities like the Manchurians, Zhuang people, and Uyghurs. Essentially, Chinese gamers think the game is quote-unquote racist against Han Chinese because it doesn't let you kill Manchurians, and only lets you kill Han people, calling the game Manchurian propaganda. This is especially wacky because the developers are most likely Han Chinese, and Manchurians in China are largely assimilated with the Han culture, and there are less than 1% of Manchurians that actually know the Manchurian language. The game developer most likely did not think too much about the implication of lacking Manchurian enemies within the game. So, how does this attitude happen, and why are younger Chinese people suddenly so aware of their Han identity? To oversimplify, it is kind of a counterculture established by the younger generation to oppose how Chinese culture is usually depicted within mainstream media. Qing Dynasty, being the last dynasty within Chinese history, do have a strong influence on Chinese culture. Cultural elements like kapow and pony braids are what foreign people think of Chinese culture at first thought, and historical fiction/TV drama does have a tendency of romanticizing the Qing Dynasty. Many younger Chinese feel like traditional Han culture is not being represented within China anymore. In the media that are less mainstream like web novels, there are trends of depicting the Qing Dynasty in a more negative light, which means glazing the Ming Dynasty more. In Wuchang's recent patch, the game no longer lets you attack Ming soldiers and civilians. Bosses who are historical figures will remain as non-hostile NPCs after they are defeated, essentially changing the story and the design of the game, and it is way too obvious why such changes were made. So that does just about summarize it all for us, folks. To explain a little bit as to why Lindsay have pandered to this, they are very much based in China themselves, and given the negative feedback is centered around China's overall image and reputation, China are very proud of their history, and the Chinese government is known for its censorship. Whether this is based on the younger Chinese generation, or the Chinese government, or a little bit of both, I really don't know, and we may just have to wait and see. But the fact does still remain that Lindsay are based in China. They either do as they are told, or Wuchang will likely be the last game they ever put out. It's why they haven't just made a separate version for Chinese players. They have to be seen to apologizing for their mistakes, not just covering them up. So, the changes are worldwide. On a slightly lighter note, Chinese players were also photoshopping pictures of Lindsay's co-founder Jia Suyan, making him look like a traditional Manchurian. Now, I'll be honest, I start cracking up whenever I see this. It's very much in line with my sense of humour. But yeah, naughty Chinese players, don't be so mean. Now, as for the actual changes themselves and what they are specifically, we will be touching on some quite major spoiler territory, so continue watching at your own risk. Otherwise, feel free to skip to the following timestamp instead. So, for the changes, I found this very handy breakdown of exactly what's being impacted, made by Reddit user Uni Mi Yong, and it goes as follows. I just went to a Chinese gaming website to find out more, and the changes are legit. Source as follows, which I'll link below for you all folks. For the 1.5 patch plot changes, the mining villagers won't interact or fight the player anymore within Chapter 2. The villagers who fire the cannons in Zhenwu Temple are changed into Daji Revolution Army guys within Chapter 3. Ming soldiers and those affiliated with Ming can't be killed anymore. Xia Wen Xiu, the lightning boss, is still alive after the fight. After the boss fight, he just stands there and mutters some rubbish. You still can see him standing outside the Tiger's boss room. Ming General Liu Cheng-en, the boss, is still alive after the fight. They change it to a sparring session, and there's no new dialogue after the fight. And finally, Zhao Yun is still alive after the fight. They change it to a sparring session, and then he gives you his spear after the fight. And then there is a section of the follow-up comments that states the following. They also changed the name of the True Dragon Emperor guy, and he also survives together with Yu Jia, and she sends you a letter about them traveling to a faraway land. It's so slapstick. Poor developers, they made such a nice game just to let stupid censoring make it a little bit worse. Now, if you've complete Wuchang already, then you'll understand why all of this completely contradicts the overall message behind the entire game and pretty much takes away from an otherwise really enjoyable story. But as we can see, Lindsay, to a large extent, did not have a choice in this matter. Call it censorship of artistic freedoms, call it silly, call it whatever you like. It has now happened, and it's unlikely to be the last we see of censorship from China, to be quite honest. Whilst we are still on the topic of censorship, folks, we do absolutely have more. Now, two separate Wuchang subreddits do exist. The official subreddit named r/Wuchang Game, and the unofficial subreddit named Wuchang Fallen Feathers. All of my research for this video has had to be done exclusively on the unofficial subreddit due to the official Reddit deleting and censoring pretty much all discussions about this topic. Now, to the best of my knowledge, some, if not all, of the Reddit mods for Wuchang's official page are directly associated with Lindsay, and thus this can be seen as further censorship being enforced by now Lindsay themselves. And if they're not behind this, they want to have a word with their mods, because this looks bad. I can't fathom why they would remove all conversations taking place about the censorship, unless they're under the watchful eye of China over on the official Reddit page. But outside of that, in this day and age, the best thing you can do is not bring any more attention to this issue. By removing discussions, you're encouraging folks like myself to write entire minute-long breakdowns on the subject, describing in great detail that you've censored your game and you're now censoring players who want to discuss the original censoring. It's not a good look. Now, being quote-unquote forced to censor your game is one thing, and I understand and sympathise with the entire scenario, but censoring your player base and or not keeping tabs on your Reddit mods and allowing them to censor your player base instead is a very quick way to lose trust with your fans. It is all a bit odd at the moment, and I don't fully know what to make of it all myself. I'm almost certain Lindsay are not happy about censoring the game and thus creating a ton of mess with the actual story itself. They did very much craft and deliver this story in the first place, but removing discussions is just odd, and I can't quite pinpoint why they would want to do so. So, let me know what you think below, folks. Now, with all of that said and done, we do still have a little bit more to get through. Since the 1.5 patch dropped on consoles, it would appear that PlayStation 5 players are suffering from a unique issue regarding Wuchang's movement. Once again, we're back on Reddit, and we have this handy little post made by user Fluid Sandwich 5875. In this short video, we can see that movement is smooth and normal prior to the patch, and yet afterwards it seems rigid, janky, and as if Wuchang can only move in 8 individual directions. It doesn't appear to be affecting Xbox or PC, but I could be wrong about Xbox. I'm only seeing discussions taking place for PlayStation 5 currently, so it would appear to be exclusively a PlayStation 5 issue. It's very likely we may be waiting some time for this issue to get patched. As previously outlined in my previous video, console updates can often take weeks to come through due to the verification process done by Microsoft and Sony, and even if Lindsay were to send them the update today, it would at least be a few more days before we received it. So as it stands, I wouldn't get your hopes up for a quick fix anytime soon, but who knows, hopefully I'm wrong. Anyway, that would be it for this one, folks. I'll be back over the next few days with more Wuchang, as well as some Kazan and Hal Is Us, so do keep an eye out for those. Otherwise, I have a range of guides and news videos on the channel already, so do feel free to stop on by and check things out. Otherwise, thanks for watching, folks, and until next time, peace.